be familiar with all these commands to make sure that you can do file manipulations. Okay. And last time I also showed you how to use this shortcut, keyboard shortcut to make things easier. Like you can use up arrow to find all those previously executed command, and you can use tab key to automatically fill the file names. Okay? So this actually are very convenient shortcuts for us to use when you try to manipulate the files in a Linux system. Okay. So for Linux system, if you want to, I mean, if you directly work on the Raspberry Pi connected to a monitor and the keyboard and mouse, that's okay because you can use the graphic interface. But if you log into the Raspberry Pi through SSH remotely, like I do, if you want to edit a file on Raspberry Pi, because when we remotely log into the Raspberry Pi, actually we don't have the graphical interface. Okay? So without the graphical interface, how can we edit the file on the Raspberry Pi? So we can use, you know, there are some editors that we can use. And Nano is a kind of editor, and actually there is another kind of editor is called Pico. Okay, so I can show you, for example. Okay, so you can see this is in the Raspberry Pi, and okay, let me. So you can see it's in the Pi work directory. So here actually I already have a Python program. It's a get pip, so I can edit it by using Pico. PICO get, and so after I type in get, I can press tab to automatically fill the file name for me. Okay, and then once you open it, you can see this is the content inside of the Python program. Okay? So what you can do, you can use the arrow key to move your cursor, and then you can whenever you want to input something, you can just type in the information. Okay, so once you type in the information you can modify your program, change values, edit your text. After you finish, you can see here there are a lot of options. Okay, this small arrow means that's the control key. Okay, so for example, I made some modification. If I want to save the modification, you can use the write out option. So write out option means this arrow and the O. That means you press control and also O at the same time. So control O. When I press control O, it asks me file name to write. So if you think that's the file you want to write, you press enter. If you think if you want to write into another file, you can change this file name. Okay, so I push enter, so you write the change to the file. And if you want to get out, you want to exit from Pico editor, you see here there is a control X to exit. Okay, so you press control and X at the same time. you will be out. Okay, so Control X, you're out. And if you want to use nano, actually it's almost the same. Okay, so we can do the same. Get, you see, you have all the information same. Okay, and you can do the whatever you want to modify the program, and then you can use Control O to write out, Control X to exit. Okay, so just press Control X and you are all set. Okay, so this is the basic file editing that you can do in Linux system. Okay. So in Linux system, you can use Nano editor or Pico editor. So I showed you two of them. So you can see there are a lot of options that you can do to trigger a specific operation. Okay. And Nano shortcut key, like I showed you. So I showed you the Control O and also the Control X. And so Control X is to exit, and Control O is to save your changes. And so there are other keys. For example, you can type Control G to display the help information, and Control L to enable long line wrapping. So there are a lot of options. You can just use those shortcut keys to trigger those options. Okay, so even though Nano is not a very powerful text editor, but actually for command line text editor is pretty good. Okay, so it's at least if you try to update your program, if you want to edit your program, Nano it's not that convenient as using editors in graphical interface, but it's pretty convenient in fact. Okay, so that's for the text editor that you can use in Linux system. So this actually shows us some commands that we use Nano work as an example to show you how to install a package in Linux system. Okay? So in Linux system, actually it's the same as in Windows. In Windows, whenever you need some kind of do some kind of work, you have to install certain software package, right? So for Linux, it's the same. If you want to do some increase or install certain kind of applications to your system, you have to install packages. For example, if you don't have Nano in your Linux system, you will have to install Nano. Okay, so how to install in Linux actually is very simple. You just type in sudo apt install nano. Okay, so this sudo apt install will install the package to the root. Okay, so because sudo actually provides the root privilege for the Linux system. Okay, but to run sudo actually you have to be a sudoer. When you log into Linux by using Pi, actually Pi is a default sudo, so you can do sudo. But for example, if you are a normal user in, there are a lot of Linux servers on campus, on PV campus. Okay, so if your teacher create an account for you to work in a Linux system, usually you are not a sudoer. So that means you cannot do sudo in that server environment. Okay, so you have to understand this. But if you are using Raspberry Pi, because Pi is a default sudoer, so you can do sudo install things to your Pi. Okay, so if you don't, for example, if in your Raspberry Pi Linux system you don't have this Nano, you want to install Nano, then you can just type in sudo apt install Nano, and it will automatically go online, check for Nano, and then download the package and install to your system. Okay, and then if you want to update your package index, you can type in sudo apt update. Okay, if you want to upgrade the packages on your system, you type in sudo apt upgrade. Okay, so that's so you can see this apt is a very powerful installer for Linux system to install, for you to install packages. Okay, so that's it's most of the time actually since you want to install the package for the whole system, that's why you want to use sudo. If you only want to install for yourself, you have to use apt -- user install Nano. So that will only install for yourself, not for other people. Okay. Okay. So that's how you can manage a package on Linux. Okay. And the Raspberry Pi configuration tool, we already saw this last time. I can show you again to let you know how to configure your Raspberry Pi remotely. Okay. So you can just type in sudo and once you type in this, you can see this window. So in this window, you can configure your Raspberry Pi. So for example, if you want to enable certain interface, you can do that. Okay? You can enable camera here. You can enable SSH here. You can enable SPI here. You can enable I2C. There are lots of possibilities. Okay, and if you want to look at some advanced options, you can choose this. So you can do all those enable, disable, everything. Okay, so this is the way that you can configure the Raspberry Pi by using this command line. Okay. So so this is the way that you can configure the Raspberry Pi. All right. So to configure the Raspberry Pi, tasks that you should perform almost immediately when you boot the Raspberry Pi from a fresh SD card image. That means for the very first time, you want to expand the root file system to fill the SD card, because if you don't do that, then you may waste a lot of space on the SD card, and you may you will need to enable the camera, because we're using camera for the Raspberry Pi system, and also overclock, overscan, SSH. You want to enable that because you want to make sure that you can use the SSH to log into the Linux system. Okay. All right. Any questions up to now? Let me see. So we have 10 people here. Please type in your full name to the chat area, so that way I can take attendance for this class. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So these are the advanced options for the configuration tool. And so you can see for advanced options, we already saw that from my Raspberry Pi. There are, some. This actually is not. This is for interface actually. And you can remotely shut down and reboot your Raspberry Pi. What you do, you just type in sudo shutdown -h. Okay, So, for example, I can do this. I can, if I want to shut down the Raspberry Pi, I can do sudo shutdown -h. So this will shut down my system. Okay, so so I let me you know, cancel it. Okay, so I cancel the shutdown. I can also reboot. So to reboot, I just type in sudo reboot. Okay, so I don't want to reboot, but if you want to reboot, you can just type in sudo reboot and press enter, and then the Raspberry Pi will reboot for you. Okay. Okay, so and actually, let me show you one interesting thing. In fact, let me see. Um, so well, the Raspberry Pi, actually, you can see this is there is a red light. The red light, actually, that's for the power light, power LED. And there is a small LED. It's here. You cannot see it very clear. Actually, it's a green LED. But right now, it's just a flash according to the activity on the SD card. So the flash is very fast, so you cannot see it very clear. We can interact with this LEDs on Raspberry Pi. So let me show you how can we do that. Okay, so so let's see. Okay, so on this Raspberry Pi, if you go to if you go to System Class LED, and when you can check, you see there are two LEDs, LED 0 and LED 1. And LED 0, that's the green LED, and LED 1 is the red LED. Okay, so you can see there are two LEDs here. The red LED, that's LED 1. And there is a small green LED, you cannot see it very clear. It's LED 0. Okay, so LED 1 is the red LED. It's the indicator for power. So so default default signal for the LED 1, which is the red LED, is for power. So whenever you turn on the power, the LED is on. Okay. So let's do something on LED 0 to show you how can we interact with the LED 0 and LED 1 through this command lines. Okay. So let's see. We can go to LED 0 folder. So when we enter LED 0 folder, you can see there are several kind of files. Okay, so we have brightness, we have max brightness, we have trigger, we have a U event. So you can use cat to see what is the content of a specific file. Okay, so let's see, brightness. Okay, so you can see the value in brightness is 0, And for trigger, if we cat trigger, you can see the MM0 is selected right now. Okay, MMC0, MMC0. That means is the SD card. Okay, so that means this LED 0 right now is triggered by the SD card. So SD card, whenever there is activity in the SD card, then the LED light will be on. So that's why, you know, if you have your own Raspberry Pi, you will see that small LED actually is flashing very slightly, because whenever there are some SD card activity, it will trigger the LED. Okay, so let's see. Let's you know, first let's turn off the LED. So to turn off the LED, what we can do, we can use sudo sh-c echo trigger. All right, so when we after we do this, let's see, let's cat trigger again. You see now, if you compare these two, the first one actually MMC0 is selected, but now none is selected. If none is selected, in fact, if you look at this a small green LED actually is totally off right now. Okay? So it's not no longer flashing, it's off. And then we can turn it off, turn it on, for example. Okay? So to turn it on, we can do like this. Okay? Because right now, actually, why it's off? Because remember the brightness here, the brightness is 0. So that's why it's 0. It's off. Okay. So we can change the value of brightness to turn it on or off. Okay. So let's turn it on. To turn it on, you can use sudo sh-c echo 1 brightness. Okay, so you can see now it's on, the green light. You see that? You see the green light is on because the value in the brightness, if we cat brightness, you see is 255. Okay, and so to turn it off, you can do as sudo sh-c echo 0 brightness. Once you do that, you can see the green light is off. Okay, so and if you look at the brightness value, it's becomes 0 again. Okay, and actually you can also make it flash. Okay? So to make it flash by using a timer, we can do this. We can do okay. So once you type in that, you can see now the LED is flashing. The period of the flashing is 1 second. Okay, so 1 second can be seen from if you list all the file. Now there are 2 new files: delay off, delay on, because we changed the trigger to timer. Whenever we change the trigger to timer, we will have 2 new files. We have delay off and delay on. Okay, and if you look at the value in these 2 file, you see delay on is 500 and delay off is also 500. So 500 means 500 millisecond. Okay, so on 500 millisecond, off 500 millisecond, together is 1 second. So the flash period is 1 second. So every 1 second is on and off for 1 time. Okay, so if you want to increase the frequency, for example, you want to make it you know, every second it flash for 5 times, then you need change the value in delay on, delay off. So you can, what you can do sudo sh-c echo 100 delay on, also for delay off. Okay. All right. So in this case, you can see the flash frequency becomes faster. In fact, if you can count, you will find that every second it flashes for 5 times. Okay, so that's something that we can do to interact with the LED on the Raspberry Pi, you know, by using command lines. Okay, so this is a very good example to show you that you can use the command line to do some very interesting things. Okay, in fact, by using Linux, a lot of time actually people may maybe you know, used to Windows, because Windows provide a very nice graphical user interface. But a lot of time, in fact, by using Linux, you can go deeper. You can go deeper to the real hardware system. Okay, so this command line actually provides a very good tool for us to interact with the hardware system, because you know, the computer system actually eventually it's a electronic device, right? So if you have the capability to work with the electrical components directly, then you have more power to control the system. Okay, so that's the beauty that by using Linux. And also Linux provides a lot of free software. That's another thing that researchers or people like to have. And nowadays, actually, for more and more researchers, especially in the AI community, people like to share what they have. Even though if you you know, watch TV news, you already know that Microsoft actually now it's a big supporter for free open software. And so actually they a lot of AI, you know, artificial intelligence software algorithms designed by Microsoft. They already put those algorithms online for, you know, for everyone to download. And so that's the trend for nowadays computer domain. So so you can see by using Linux, actually we get a lot of benefits. Okay, as a computer science student, you're supposed to you know, it's better for you to understand Linux system. Okay? You don't only stuck in Windows system. Okay, so that's something that you want to consider. And okay. Okay, so so again, let's go back to the. So for this chapter, we talk about how can we communicate with a Raspberry Pi from your desktop computer or laptop computer using a network connection. And so remember, first of all, you have to enable the SSH on the Raspberry Pi. To enable the SSH on the Raspberry Pi, you have to run the, in fact, for the very first time when you set up your Raspberry Pi, actually the system will ask you to do the you know, perform some actions on the configuration. So at that time, you want to enable the SSH. If you have a camera, you want to enable the camera. Okay. Once you enable the SSH, then you want to find out what is the IP address of your Raspberry Pi. Remember, I showed you you can use your web browser because you know, by using your web browser, you can log into your router's page. So in your router's page, you can see you know, what kind of devices are connected to the router. And in that table, you can find the IP address for that specific device. Okay. So once you have the IP address, then you can use SSH. Remember, you can use PuTTY you can download PuTTY to your Windows computer. I mean, if you are using a MacBook, that's easier because MacBook is already a Unix system. Okay. So for using MacBook, if you want to log in from your MacBook to your Raspberry Pi, it's easier actually because most of MacBook already has the SSH installed. Okay, so what you do, you just open the terminal. So there is a terminal application in your MacBook. Okay, so you can you know, bring up the terminal application, and then inside of terminal, you can just type in SSH pi add, you know, your IP address of your Raspberry Pi, and then you do login. Okay. So the Raspberry Pi actually the username for Raspberry Pi is Pi, and the password for the Pi account is Raspberry. Okay, Raspberry, RASPBERRY. Okay, so that's the default password for the Pi account. Okay, so so once you log in to your Raspberry Pi through SSH, then you can you know, you can just use command lines to control your Raspberry Pi. So, and all the command lines actually you can find, you can learn all those command lines through the book I posted on eCourses, the Linux command line book. Okay, so that book actually provides a very detailed instruction for you to use different commands in Linux system. Okay. So in this chapter, we talk about how to interact with the and control the Raspberry Pi using Linux commands. And we can perform basic file editing using a Linux shell terminal. Remember, we use a Nano editor or a Pico editor. You know, these are very simple basic file editing editors, but you know, they are it's not convenient if you want to make a lot of changes, a lot of addition. But it will be very convenient. If, for example, if you want to make a huge change to your file, it's not convenient by using Nano or Pico remotely. Actually, the best way is for you to use SFTP. Remember, you use SFTP, get the file from the Raspberry Pi to your local computer, and then in your local computer you use a graphical interface editor like for example, if you are using Python, you can use the Python idle editor to edit your file. Once you finish the editing, then you can use SFTP to put the file from your remote computer to Raspberry Pi. Okay. However, if you only need to make a very minor change, change only several letters or several lines, it's more convenient by using Pico or Nano to edit your file directly in the Raspberry Pi instead of use SFTP to download or upload the file. Okay, so that's something that you need to understand. And also we learn how to manage Linux packages, right? Remember, you can use sudo apt install the file, the package. For example, if you want to install a Nano, a Pickle, you can just type in sudo apt install Pickle, and it will install the Pickle package for you. Okay, and and also we learned how to interact with the LEDs on the Raspberry Pi by using command line. Okay, so that's very interesting. You can, if you have a Raspberry Pi, you can do that by yourself to just practice to know that what you can do to the Raspberry Pi. Okay, and we can also safely shut down and reboot the Raspberry Pi remotely by using sudo reboot, sudo shutdown. You see that? Okay, so that's something that we learned from this chapter. So basically, this chapter tells us how to connect to a Raspberry Pi and how to control the Raspberry Pi by using basic Linux commands. Okay. So let's. All right. So I want to spend a little bit more time on the Linux command line, Linux command system. Okay. So for this Linux system, in fact, you can see if you go to this website. Remember, this website actually is the website in this book. Okay, so that's the website that you can learn Linux command. Okay, if you don't want to, just read the book, you can go to this website. This website actually shows you a lot of examples of how to use certain commands. Okay, so for example, if you want to learn how to use the shell, first of all, you want to know what is shell. Okay, so shell actually, remember I said shell is an explainer to explain your command to the kernel, to let the kernel work on the command. Okay? So if your command is not recognized by the kernel, then there will be some error message like we saw before. Okay, so so here actually you can see what is shell, what is the shell. Actually, on most Linux system, there is a program. It's called Bash. Okay, so Bash actually that's the shell for the kernel. Okay, so a shell actually, you can, from the name you can see it's it's very similar to something protect the kernel. Okay, so that means kernel is the system, is the system package. Okay? You don't want to let users application to directly go into kernel to destroy the kernel. Okay? So you want to use a certain things to explain the command to the kernel, which we can protect the kernel. Okay, so that's and here they on this website is very good. They show some examples. If you type in random word, then the kernel, the shell will show that this is not a command found. Okay? So that's something that is very interesting. You can practice by learning this, and you can, for example, you can learn how to manipulate files. In this case, there are several examples. We have this CP for copy file, MV for move file, RM for remove file, and make dir to create a directory. Okay? And they also show us show you how to some examples. Okay? So for example, by doing this, what does this mean? Okay, you copy all those files with this extension to the destination directory. Okay, so you can see it's you can by using Linux commands is not each command, they have a lot of options. So each option, you have to use a keyword to choose that specific option. For that option, you can do certain things. So that's why a lot of time, actually, one single uh, line in Linux system can do a lot of things. Okay, so you have to use man. For example, if you want to know all of the options for CP is for copy, right? We know copy is for copy file, but there are a lot of variations for copy file. How can you copy the file? There are a lot of ways. So if you want to learn all of the options, remember you just type in man space CP. Okay, so then you can see the manual page for CP, and you learn how to use it. Okay, so it's very convenient. Okay. And there are um, some special meaning character. Like for example, if you type a star, that means it matches all characters. Okay, so for example, if I go to so in this case, we have this things. Let's see. For example, if you want to just look at those uh, files that they have DE and followed by a star. In this case, you can see you only list all those files and um, directories start with DE, and star means it match everything. So as long as the first two letters are DE, that those kind of files will be displayed. Okay, so you can see it's very convenient. For example, if you try to find certain files start with or end with certain things, you can even do like ls star br something like this. Okay, so if you want to find a file or directory has certain pattern, then you can use this star to search for the file. Okay, so that's very convenient by using this Linux command. Okay. Okay. So there are a lot of patterns you can learn from this page. Okay, so you can. I encourage you to come to this page. Have a look of all the examples and the explanation of all the commands, like how to use move command. And there are certain kind of variations you can learn from here. They put a lot of examples here for you to work on. And so it's a very uh, good resource that you can use if you want to learn how to use Linux commands. Okay. Um, if you want to work with commands, that means if you want to understand what kind of command it is or which command it is, you can use this command. These commands, they are commands to work with commands. Okay, so it's very interesting. For example, for type, if you can type with the command. So this command tells you what kind of command it is. Okay, so for example, if you type, so this means you want to find the type of the type command. Okay, so it shows type is a shell built-in command. Okay, and if you type in type ls, it will show you what is ls. Okay, and if you type in type cp, it will show you what is cp. Okay, so that's this is a very useful kind of command, working with command command lines. Okay, so you can type in which to know the location of that command. Where is the command located? Okay, so I can show you one example. For example, so you can type in which, like for example, type, oh, which CP. So when you type in which CP, it shows bin CP. This actually tells you where is this CP program. Okay, so you can, in fact, you can go to that location bin, and you can see there is a CP program here. Okay, so this is a CP program, right? So that's the way that you can find out where is that command, and so this way actually you can you can locate where is the command, and how can you use it. Okay, and if you want to learn how to use the command, you can type in man cp, so you can see the manual actually of the CP program is displayed. Okay. All right. So another very interesting and useful thing is the IO redirection. Okay, we already saw IO redirection in the LED example. In the LED example, we use this greater than sign. This greater than sign actually is for redirection. Okay, so it's for standard output. You can see actually this is very similar to the standard output for C++, right? In C++, we use two greater than signs for the standard output. Okay, so here actually for Linux is the same. Okay, so you can, for example, we can do this. I can show you this. Okay, so for example, what we can do, and let me go back. What we can do, I can do as, and then standard output for file. So what's the meaning of this? ls, remember, is to list all the files, right? So when we do this, when I do this, actually, instead of display the file list on the terminal, in fact, the list will be output to the file list file. Okay, so that's through this standard output. Okay. So let's see, we can see this file. You see, this actually, we have all the list of the files in this directory. And so the ls actually lists all the files, and this standard output the list to this text file. Okay, so that's why when we display the contents of this text file, you see all this. Okay, so this actually is the same as what we have here. Okay, and so whenever you use single, if you use single greater sign here, that means you override anything inside of that text file. Okay, sometimes you don't want to override, you want to append. If you want to append the your text to the end of the file, then you have to use two double greater than signs. Okay, so what you can do like this, ls so if you do this, actually you can see it's appended. It's not it's appended to the end of the file. Okay. However, if you just use single greater than sign, then you see actually you see it creates a new file. It overrides everything inside of the file previously. Okay, so that's something you can. And another redirection is instead of using keyboard as the standard input, you can use a file as standard input. This is very similar to the C++ standard output, standard input, right? So to use a file as a standard input instead of the keyboard, you have to use a less than sign. Okay? For example, you can do sort. So once you do this, the sort actually is a command to sort the content of the file. Okay, so you can see this in this case, the file list file actually is the input standard input. So the content in this file will be input to sort, and let sort the content. Okay, so the output is displayed on the standard display. Okay, so you can see everything is sorted. Okay, according to sort command. Okay, and you can, instead of output this to the display, you can output this sorted strings to another file. For example, you can do that like sort. This tells us the standard input is the file list file, and then you can output the output to another file. Okay, so you can do this. Okay, so this way, the input is from this file, and it will be sorted, and then the output will be written into this file. Okay, so you can, if you look at this, you see this you have a sorted a file list here. Okay, so you can see actually by using this this kind of redirection operations is very interesting, and it's very powerful. Basically, if you have some text files you want to manipulate, there are a lot of Linux commands you can use to do you know, different kind of manipulation. Like in this case, you can sort, and there are other kind of string operating manipulating files that you can use to do all other kind of operations. Okay, so it's so today actually I just show you several examples that you can see Linux system actually is very powerful. And if you want to learn Linux system, we do have, there are a lot of you know, lot of resources that you can learn. For example, this website is a very good website. You can learn how to use Linux commands, and you can use you can download this book here.